Presented by Honda at the Model Clearout event. It's the best time to team up with a Honda you'll love.
Welcome to Florida. And that is not inside the ballpark by any means, but it's in the neighborhood. We are not that far from the Everglades. We are in Miami. Beautiful Marlins Park. This is the third and final game of this three-game series. It's a rubber match as the Blue Jays won the opener in dramatic fashion on Friday night. The Marlins put a whooping on the Blue Jays yesterday, 6-3 in that ball game. Wei-Yin Chin was terrific. In fact, the Marlins have had two great starts in this series. John Gibbons' team has not been swinging the bats very well. They're 1-8 in their last 9 road games. Billy McKinney right at the top of the order. He has been swinging the bat very well. Over his last 9 games, he's hitting .400 with 8 extra base hits. And then down in the cleanup spot, Brando Grichuk's had a good road trip. 8 for 19 on the road trip with some power. 3 doubles, a home run, and 3 RBIs, and they will get their first look at a youngster making his first major league start, Jeff Brigham.
Yeah, this start was supposed to go to Pablo Lopez. Instead, he was shut down, put on the 60-day DL yesterday with shoulder strain. Jeff Brigham will come up and make his big league debut. Had his contract selected by the Marlins just yesterday. He started the season in Double-A, got moved up to Triple-A, had some pretty decent numbers. There they are, 10-3. That .236 earned run average ranks as the second lowest among Marlins minor leaguers this season. He came over from the Dodgers, originally drafted in 2014. So you got to figure there's some butterflies in his stomach this afternoon as he becomes the 10th Marlin to make their major league debut this season.
13th starting pitcher the Marlins have used. Let's take a look at the defense in the outfield. Ortega, Brinson, and Sierra. And there's a new look over at first base. Their all-star catcher, Realmuto, is making his start at first this afternoon.
Don Mattingly keeps his bat in the lineup on day games after night games by playing JT Realmuto over at first base. He's had 12 games over at first. He hasn't committed an error. He's got 95 games as a catcher, but you keep the bat in the lineup by putting him over at first base. He's just a terrific athlete.
Hit his 18th home run last night. That's a new career high. We are set. Billy McKinney's in the box. Here's the first pitch. It's down for a ball, and we are underway. You saw the catcher Chad Wallach throw the ball out of play as that was the first pitch in the big leagues for the starter Jeff Brigham. Numbers for the season, 381 for Billy McKinney. He goes after this pitch and rips it foul into the seats.
You got to be impressed with what you have seen from Billy McKinney in a short sample size. He's played a good outfield. He has run the bases well. John Gibbons has put him at the top of that lineup. He's been a spark plug.
He has good at-bats. He takes a lot of pitches. He has a good idea what he wants to hit in each and every at-bat.
I asked him, I said, what type of hitter are you? And he says, I've always valued the on-base percentage. Try to get on base, see a lot of pitches. I mean, that screams leadoff type of hitter. Guy who can get an inning started for you and get a rally started. And if you make a mistake, he can pop one.
Got a fastball right there and swings right through it. It's 2-2. As Pat mentioned, Brigham was originally drafted and signed with the Dodgers. He came here in July of 2015. Part of that deal for Matt Latos, the big righty, who spent some time with the Blue Jays. 2-2 pitch, breaking ball outside. Home plate umpire today is Mike Malinsky, and he's been consistent on those 2 breaking balls. They were backdoor breaking balls just off the plate. He has called them both balls. Devin Travis is on deck. Devin's had a nice series here so far. Billy McKinney has played with the Blue Jays total of 12 games, hitting nearly .400 over that stretch. A very good OPS. He just turned 24 years old on August 23rd.
He's played with a couple of organizations. He's played with some really good players. So now he gets a chance, I think, with the Blue Jays to really show what he can do in the month of September.
There's a base hit to center field. Another good at bat for Billy McKinney. He starts things off with a solid single to center.
Well, in the first game here, he struck out his first 2 times up, and I asked him about that. I said, were you surprised they were going to throw you some more fastballs? He said, I was really out ahead of myself. I was too quick. I had to slow things down. Look how slow and methodical he is on that 3-2 pitch. Takes that ball and bangs it the other way. A nice looking swing.
Devin Travis was 2 for 4 in the game. He had 2 of the 3 hits surrendered by Wei-Yin Chen, the starter. Travis had a bases loaded walk in that dramatic 9th inning comeback on Friday night. That walk forced in the first run of the inning, and then right behind Travis, Justin Smoke hit the pinch hit grand slam. 0-1. Breaking ball. Ball on the strike now.
Not going to really light up the radar gun with that fastball. Command is a little bit off. I think his plus pitch is that slider. It looks like he can really spin that slider. He'll throw a changeup also as third pitch.
McKinney has not run much in his career. He didn't have a stolen base attempt with the Blue Jays so far. But he's got good speed. He's just not a base stealer. Travis loses that bat, and fortunately that screen keeps it out of the seats in harm's way of the fans.
Heads up Don Mattingly on that one. He had to chuck and duck with that. Watch Donnie right behind Devin Travis as it goes off the screen. The manager of the Marlins has to duck out of the way. Cover up.
Don always had good reflexes. He moved quickly. Here's the 1-2 to Travis upstairs. 2-2 now. Brigham, as Pat mentioned, started his season this year in Double-A, and then he injured himself and he was placed on the DL. He came back and pitched a game in the Gulf Coast League on June 18th, and then he went back to Double-A, made 4 starts before going to Triple-A. Inside, breaking ball.
There's
Full
the
count.
inconsistencies that you can see from a player that has spent his whole year in the minor leagues, just hasn't been able to finish off that breaking ball, and some inconsistency in his fastball command.
3-2 pitch. There goes McKinney. Ball is hit into right field. That's going to get down. You might as well go. McKinney goes first to third easily. Boy, once you're moving on a 3-2 pitch and there's a line drive hit, you might as well keep going, because if he catches it, you're going to be a dead duck at first.
Yeah, that's what they teach you in the minor leagues. Blue Jays start the runner here. There's a line drive, and McKinney just keeps right on running. It makes no sense to stop, because then it's hard to get started and then to move up. So just keep going. He takes a quick look to see behind him that ball goes into the outfield and easily makes it to third base.
Well, there's the aspect of McKinney's speed. He's a good base runner, not necessarily a good base stealer. So Kendrys Morales with a good opportunity here in the first. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. Morales started at first base on Friday night, and he basically started the rally with a 0-2 base hit in the 9th inning of that Friday night game. Here he fouls this one back into the catcher's mitt.
He's been hot. He's been on everything. You can always tell good hitters when they're getting ready to swing if they see the ball, and if they're in a good hitting position when the ball crosses the plate. And Kendrys has done that. Look at those numbers the last couple of weeks. Nearly 400.
Off the plate outside. Morales is now 35 years old. He has one more year on his contract with the Blue Jays. Signed a 3-year contract. Last year, Morales hit .250 with 28 home runs. This year, he's at .257 with 21 homers. It's a piece of that breaking ball.
Yeah, he saw that one all the way. You can see that hump, if you will, and that breaking ball, and the hitters are going to pick up on that, especially the left-handers. Big difference between a curveball and a fastball. You can see the break in it early.
That breaking ball up and away again. He's just not finishing that breaking ball. You got to believe he's got a little bit of nerves working on him. Some butterflies. First big league start.
He's replacing another rookie, a 22-year-old Pablo Lopez, who was supposed to pitch in this game and start this game, and he's been sensational. But he's been shut down for the rest of the season, and Brigham has been brought up. They're going to go with a 6-man starting rotation the rest of the season, the Marlins. Try to limit some of the innings with some of their young players that they have here.
Full count to Morales. McKinney's at third, Travis at first. Travis not running. There's a drive to right field. Caught by Sierra. McKinney's tagging. Here's the throw to the plate. It's a good throw, but over the catcher's glove. Sierra made a strong throw. Chad Wallach, the catcher, reached up for it. It sailed over his glove back to the backstop. The pitcher was backing up the play.
Sierra has shown a pretty good arm in the outfield. We've seen him in center field. We're now seeing him in right field this afternoon, and he definitely had a shot at getting Billy McKinney. That was a line drive right at him where his momentum, see how his momentum is coming home? But it's a little bit too high because it goes over the catcher. If that is down, I think McKinney has a shot of being out. Here comes the high throw, and it allows him to slide underneath him.
1-0 Blue Jays. Here's Randall Grichuk on the play. It's a sacrifice fly for Morales. He picks up an RBI. There's an air charge to the right fielder, Sierra. His 4th air of the season. Randall Grichuk mentioned his numbers on the road trip. 8 for 19 on this road trip. But in this series, he has yet to come up with a hit. He had 8 of those hits in the 3-game series in Baltimore. He was 8 for 13 against the Orioles.
Raking extra base hits, hitting the ball to right field. Pitchers like this, if you're not used to it, I think it's better to go up there and see as many pitches as possible. He's already thrown 22 pitches here in the first inning, so the Blue Jays, they're getting locked in.
Grichuk swings at that breaking ball. It's 1-2 now. Brigham's last start was in AAA with New Orleans. He made that start at Round Rock in the Pacific Coast League. And was on the 29th of August. He had Tommy John surgery in college after his sophomore season. Breaking ball into dirt. Chad Wallach, the catcher, catching for the 9th time this season, and he's not the nervous one. The nervous one is on the bench. Tim Wallach, the bench coach, is Chad's father.
And everybody, I think, in Canada will remember Tim Wallach. There he is. Wally, the great player for the Montreal Expos.
He's in the Canadian Hall of Fame. He played at Cal State Fullerton, same place his son played. Wallach was a great third baseman, and Chad is behind the plate as a catcher. 3-2 to Randall Grichuk. Breaking ball, he strikes out. That's the first big league strikeout for Jeff Brigham.
So they'll throw that one out. It looks like he is starting to favor that breaking ball. He's able to throw that to Randall Grichuk to pick up his first big league strikeout. He throws it 3-2. One way to get guys off of your fastball, start throwing more breaking balls.
No, they'll keep that baseball for Brigham. Go up on his trophy case for sure. Otis Gurriel Jr. hitting in the 5th spot. Gurriel hit leadoff here last night. Batted second on Friday night. John Gibbons has just put him all up and down in the order just to see where he might fit best.
Hey, just put him in the lineup somewhere. preferably, I like to see him at the top of the lineup so he gets those extra at bats. That's another breaking ball, just 78 miles an hour. But it sends Lourdes out of the batter's box. They can't control that one. But put him in the top of the order as much as you can and let him get that extra at bat every game. I think that's what he needs to do to catch up because he missed some time being on the disabled list.
Two balls and no strikes. The Blue Jays have scored a run here in the top of the first. L'Oreal's done a nice job in his rookie season. When you look at the rookie batting average leaders in the American League, of course, Miguel Andujar and Joey Wendell of the Rays top of the list, and then Gurriel is third at 292. Boy, Gleyber Torres, he is on a tear right now. He's batting 292. There's a fly ball into shallow right field. Magneuris Sierra is there. The inning is over, but the Blue Jays break out on top. They score a run on 2 hits and a sac fly. Sean Reed Foley will take the hill when we come back. The manager of the Miami Marlins, Manning is in his 3rd season here in Miami after 5 years at the helm of the Dodgers. Here's the lineup for Manning this afternoon. They won 54 games. Top of the order is the shortstop, J.T. Riddle. He's hit well over his last 13 games, 14 for 42 with 6 extra base hits. And then down in the 3rd spot is the all-star catcher, J.T. Realmuto, today playing at first base. He's got a mini 5-game hit streak. Hit his career high 18th home run in the game last night.
He's an impressive hitter, and it's been an impressive bunch, I think, of the Miami Marlins, especially with 2 strikes. So Sean Reed Foley's got to be able to put him away. 3rd big league start for Sean. He's 0-2. There's the earned run average. He last time out in the big leagues in New York, he got bit by the home run ball. The Yankees hit 3 home runs against him. The last time he pitched, though, was August the 28th. That was down in the minor leagues at Rochester. He only lasted 3 innings down there. Gets a chance here now as they push Barucki back. And so Sean Reed Foley, I think, pitching, then going down to the minor leagues and then coming back should do him wonders.
Just a chance to understand the emotions of pitching in the big leagues for the first time. Here's Riddle batting 231 for the season. He's got 8 homers. He also has hit 8 doubles and 3 triples. He's a good fastball right on the inside corner in a good spot.
That has always been the book on him, Buck, is his scouting report is he's got fastball command, but I think his first 2 starts in the big leagues, I think the nerves might have gotten to him just a little bit. He was overthrowing at times. There's a good fastball to finish off that at bat.
Reed Foley grew up in Jacksonville, went to high school there, so I'm sure he's got family and friends in attendance today. His first start was in Kansas City. The second start was at New York against the Yankees. This is a good fastball here.
Yeah, he elevates it. The first 2 were down, and then he was showing the ability to elevate at that time. I think this is a good matchup for him because you're in a big ballpark, and we've talked about that the last couple of nights. And his fastball's got some finish to it. This team doesn't hit a lot of home runs. Keep pumping it in there.
This is one of the leading candidates for the National League Rookie of the Year this season. Brian Anderson's playing his 136th game of the season. He's put up good numbers, 10 home runs, 58 RBIs, and there's another strike from Reed Foley.
He's got some finish on his fastball, meaning there's a little bit of jump to it at the end as it comes to home plate. But when you try to generate speed, and I think that's what we saw in his first 2 starts, where he tried to hump up and throw it by people, that's when it flattens out.
Boy, that pitch absolutely beat Brian Anderson. An explosive fastball up in the zone at 95.
Just watch the reaction of the hitter as he starts his swing. This close-up will show. He goes to swing, and it's by him. He can't even get his head down. The ball's by him and into the catcher's mitt right away. That's some finish on your fastball.
2 strikeouts to start the ball game for Reed Foley. This is JT Realmuto. He's got a 5-game hit streak, and there's another good fastball. Look at the drive he has. He's driving it right through the strike zone. We didn't see that in his first 2 starts.
No, it looked like he was trying to generate speed, and he was tight. He was actually just pushing the ball towards home plate. Now he looks a little bit more free and easy. There's a changeup. Tried to change up a little bit. But he's always been consistent in the strike zone. That's the scouting report on him down in the minor leagues. He had good fastball command, but we didn't see it those first 2 starts.
Yesterday, he threw a bit in the bullpen, and he was really concerned with his alignment. He drew a line straight to home plate and was consciously worried about driving it right to the plate, and he's done that early in this game. Throw it again. And he does. How about that? Reed Foley strikes out the side in the first inning. Makes quick work of Riddle, Anderson, and Realmuto.
In Miami, where Justin Smoak has now hit home runs in 4 consecutive games, and it's back-to-back seasons where Smoak has hit 20 or more bombs. Now, for Smoak coming into this season, it was not about the numbers. Rather, he wanted to have the mindset of having quality at bats. Now, what is that? Well, it's situation dependent. There are times he'll go up, see 3 pitches, get punched out, and Smoak says, guess what? I wasn't locked in on one thing, and if I didn't get it, I didn't get it, but that's a good at-bat because I didn't veer off my plan. He said other times to be down 0-2, down 1-2, to grind out an at-bat, get a hit or get on base. If you do that over the course of a season, he said, your numbers will be okay. You saw that game-winning grand slam Friday. That was an 0-2 count. That was okay too, Buck.
It absolutely was okay. He turned a loss into a win with one swing of the bat, and then he hit one hard last night.
Yeah, he barely got that one.
Yeah, he said he hit it off the end of the bat.
Not.
Little pop-up behind second off the bat of Aledmus Diaz. Stalin Castro back at second base this afternoon. He was out of the lineup yesterday. Castro's played just about every day. Veterans had a pretty good season.
Second inning now for Jeff Brigham. And what he can do now is he can go back into that dugout after that first inning when he threw 30 pitches and just sit there and say, okay, I got that first one out of the way. Let's calm down now and just start to try and make pitches.
Teoscar Hernandez, the left fielder. Teoscar was 1 for 3 with a base hit in the 8th inning in last night's game. There's a good fastball for a strike. It's 2-1 now.
Yeah, it's just 93 miles an hour. I say just 93. Still pretty good, but he put it in a good spot. It was low. Tell you what, throw another one there, and Teoscar's going to jump on it.
Hadn't been able to command that breaking ball at all early in this game. That's going to be a key for him. He hopes to pitch deeper into the game.
Yeah, it's his best pitch. You can see he can spin it. Just hasn't been able to finish off that pitch.
That's a good fastball. Brigham was 10-3 in the minor leagues over the course of 17 starts. He had a very good ERA of 2.36. He had an oblique issue earlier. Little problem with his elbow also this season. That's why his numbers are down. Just 17 starts. Full count. Look out. Still can't get that breaking ball. Pitch up and in. That breaking ball has been consistently inside to the right-handed hitters.
The 2018 Honda CR-V, where style and versatility come together.
Final day in South Florida, and it's been a very rough weather weekend here. Lots of thunderstorms in the area. Again, it's cloudy outside, and there's a threat of storms. Luke Maile gets the start, his first appearance in this series. He got hit right on the elbow. Maybe on the wrist.
Yeah, I think on the hand. Tried to pull his hands back, but he got hit. Brigham just hasn't been able to command anything, and I'll tell you, that hurts.
Anytime it sounds like it hits the bat, it's certainly going to hurt. This will give you an idea. That fastball gets away from Brigham and right on the back of that hand. Now, you're always worried about a fracture when you get hit in the back of the hand. Ow.
Yeah, you can hear it sounds like it hits the bat. And for a catcher, that's never a good sign. Looks like he can shake it off. Sean Reed-Foley now with his first at-bat.
First professional at-bat for Sean Reed-Foley, and he squares to bunt and gets a breaking ball. This is more difficult than pitching right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's never done this before. He's never even practiced it. There's an art to laying down a sacrifice bunt. You spin around like that. You don't face the pitcher. You keep your feet planted like that, but you just pivot around. And then you get the bat at the top of the strike zone at a 45-degree angle, and you just try and catch it. You don't want to jab at it.
They have taken the bunt off and have allowed him to swing. Runners at first and second, one out. And there's a swing and a miss, a strikeout. Second strikeout for Brigham. We will be joined by the Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations and GM Ross Atkins in the third inning. So we want to make sure you stay tuned for that. It'll be good to hear from Ross. Of course, there's a lot on his plate right now, and has been for the last 48 hours. Of course, the trade of Josh Donaldson and the trade of Curtis Granderson coming right at the trade deadline on Friday. So he'll give us an update on everything that's going on with the Blue Jays right now.
We'll try and drill down on that. A lot has happened over the last 48 hours with the ball club. Players coming up September 1st, when rosters can expand, who they're thinking about bringing up and why.
Billy McKinney pops this one over the dugout and out of play. The minor league seasons will come to an end tomorrow, so you can bet there'll be more Blue Jay call-ups headed to Toronto on Tuesday. The Buffalo Bisons are on the road. Double-A season will come to an end on Monday as well.
Bisons are not going to make the playoffs this year, so some of the other players who were on the 40-man roster who spent this season down in Buffalo will make their way to Toronto. They had a meeting today to discuss some of those players, who they want to bring up and how they're going to work into the lineup.
Well, that's the biggest thing too, is when you bring somebody up here, you just don't want them sitting around. You'd like to have some opportunities for them to play. But certainly, I think in the case of the pitchers, there are plenty of opportunities to get some work for the relievers especially. Now, the fact is, Marcus Stroman is probably going to make the start tomorrow, coming off the DL after dealing with that blister issue. So the Blue Jays, too, at time have 6 starters, just like the Marlins.
Yes, and with the starters not going very deep lately, that's given a lot of opportunities for that bullpen to get some innings.
Starters have had just 1 start of 5 innings or longer in the last 7 games. That was Sam Gaviglio in that 7-0 loss in Baltimore. He went 5 2/3. Billy McKinney takes ball 4, and Brigham's really fighting his control. So Juan Nieves, the pitching coach, will come out and try to help him out with that. The walk has loaded the bases. He has walked to this inning and hit Luke Maile.
Yeah, Blue Jays haven't even hit the ball yet. They've got the bases loaded, looking for that big hit. The right guy might be at the plate to do that. Devin Travis has had a nice series back in his home state.
Devin had a base hit to right field his first time up. He had a single and a double in the game last night and had a bases loaded walk on Friday night. His family's had a big weekend. His little brother was in a football game. Louisville played Alabama last night. He did not get into the game. He's a freshman quarterback. And yesterday was their mom's birthday. And now his mom and dad, they have driven down from Orlando, and they're here in the ballpark today to watch Devin. High fly ball into the outfield. Brimson's got a chance to close out the inning, and he does. So Travis flies out with the bases loaded. Brigham strands the bases full.
Blue Jays and enter the code MBJ1476 to earn My Blue Jays points for watching the broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage, and the code must be entered by 4 a.m. Now former Blue Jay, still weird to say, Josh Donaldson will be holding his introductory press conference minutes from now in Cleveland. You can watch that on Sportsnet 360 at 1:45 Eastern Time. Bucky is not in the lineup for Cleveland today.
Yeah, they're going to make sure that they evaluate him. One thing Terry Francona does not want to do is take Jose Ramirez off third base and then have to put him at second and then send him back to third if Donaldson can't play on a regular basis. So he's not going to do that until Donaldson indicates that he's ready to play every day.
And they're not sure how that's going to happen. They're going to let Josh tell them that. They can also send him back down to the minor leagues for a few days to get some innings. He's only played a couple of games on his rehab.
Starlin Castro hitting .289 for the season. Got 149 hits in the season. There's another strike from Reed Foley.
That time took a little something off through a breaking ball. He's got two types of breaking ball, the curveball and the slider. They've been inconsistent so far in his first two starts this year. That's been a good pitch for him.
Boy, he is pouring that fastball right to these hitters early on. He's thrown 14 pitches, 11 for strikes. Totally different than we saw in his first two big league starts. Breaking ball, a little looper. That's over Travis. It's going to drop for a base hit. Well, Reed Foley got off to a good start, and he struck out the side in the first inning.
Watch him hammer these fastballs right by some of these hitters for the Marlins. Ryan Anderson, a good hitter, was a little tardy on that fastball, and then JT Realmuto, who has hit everything against the Blue Jays in the first two games, sat down with a pretty good fastball at 95 miles an hour. It just looks like he's a little bit more under control in this start than the last one we saw him in New York.
There are the numbers we were talking about. He's only thrown 3 balls so far in this game. And he comes back with a first pitch changeup for a strike. Boy, this is a totally different pitcher than we saw the first 2 times up. And this is the pitcher that all the minor league coaches were telling us about. A pitcher with a lot of confidence that he'll throw a lot of strikes with all 3 of his pitches.
You know what else did they tell us? They said it might take him a while to get adjusted to the next level. I mean, that's been what he has done throughout his whole minor league career. When he moves up a level, there's been that adjustment period, but then he's a quick learner. And once he gets it, he starts to dominate those levels.
Reed Foley made 8 starts in Double-A this season. There's a breaking ball, should be 2. Travis to Gurriel, and he slips. Gurriel lost his footing as he pivoted to make the throw, and I don't know if he was going to get 2 on it, but he didn't have good footing, and once he realized that, he didn't make a throw.
He's just learning the position of shortstop, and where he messed up here is he caught the ball flat-footed. Right there. And now when he has to pivot around, shortstop, you want to come across the bag in one motion, catch the ball, keep your feet moving, kick the bag with your right foot, and then still have your legs underneath you. But he caught that flat-footed, and then by the time he started again, it was too late.
This is the center fielder, Lewis Brinson. He goes around on that first pitch breaking ball.
But you know, that's what playing now in the month of September with some of these young players, it's let's polish off their playoff, how they get to the next level. And those little things are going to be out there every day working on in the month of September.
0-2. Remember, Ross Atkins, the executive vice president of baseball ops and GM of the Blue Jays, will join us in the top of the 3rd inning. Of course, lots to talk about. Josh Donaldson will hold a press conference momentarily in Cleveland, and we will hear from the general manager. Our first chance to have him on the show for a while. 0-2 to Brinson. Lays off that high fastball. Brinson grew up in Fort Lauderdale at the Coral Springs High School, not too far from here. There's a breaking ball hit in the air. Right fielder Billy McKinney is over to make the catch. Jewel away. The catcher, Chad Wallach, will get his first at bat of the ball game. Wallach just 4 for 31 this season. Wallach got into 6 games last year with the Cincinnati Reds. He is back now with the Marlins. Originally drafted by the Dodgers back in the 43rd round of 2010, but did not sign with them.
His dad was there then coaching the Dodgers with Don Mattingly. Boy, his dad was a good player. Smooth at third base, if you remember him for the Expos. Great hands. He was a real quiet hitter. Reminded me a little bit of Paul Molitor, where there wasn't a lot of movement, but he just used his hands to hit, and the ball would jump off of his bat.
Outside. Numbers at AAA New Orleans: 3 homers and 16 RBIs for Chad Wallach. Ball and a strike, 2 outs. Fouled straight back in our direction.
Well, Sean has the full complement of pitches to get people out. Fastball, he touches around 94. That first inning, we saw some 95s and some 96s. The slider's got to be in the strike zone, a changeup and a curveball. But the consistency, that's what was lacking in his first 2 starts in the strike zone and finishing off hitters. He would jump ahead and then just had no way to finish him off in those 2 starts. Today, it seems like he's under control just a little bit more with his body.
Dramatically so. You can see it in his face. He knows what to expect now. Foul tipped, held on to by Luke Maley. That's 4 strikeouts through 2 innings for Sean Reed Foley. He walks off the mound with a 1-0 lead after 2. Informed the Josh Donaldson press conference in Cleveland has been delayed. We are in the top of the 3rd. Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. We're pleased to be joined now in the booth by the Executive Vice President of Baseball Ops and GM, Ross Atkins. Ross, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Been a busy couple of days, obviously, and you know, first and top of everybody's mind is the Josh Donaldson trade. Talk about the situation where on Friday apparently he cleared waivers. And how did that change your market for a potential trade once you found out he had cleared waivers?
Yeah, well, it takes it from one team to any team that is contending, and quite frankly, any team that just has interest. And so clearing waivers suggests that the teams were not willing to take on the full salary. But obviously there were teams that were interested and were willing to give up some talent, and that's why some salary usually goes back to the other team. We had a lot of competition for them, and feel fortunate that we had a deal that we're excited about. We're excited about the return. We obviously understand that how difficult it is to part ways with someone who's been so important to this organization, has had so much success in his career, and have all the respect in the world for how hard it is to do what he has done. But what we have to do is make tough decisions that can bring sustainable winning environments here, and to do that we have to think about long term. We have to think about the future, and the very positive side of that is this talent return does line up exceptionally well with a lot of the AA and AAA talent that we have that has really had a great couple of years, and we're seeing some of the benefits of that here today, and obviously in AA and AAA there's a lot more of it to come.
Josh was hurt in 2017 last year. He's hurt a lot this year. He's coming to the end of a contract. Did that factor in the decision to trade him?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything factors in, and you know, had Josh not been hurt, we probably would have a very different team. He's such a powerful force that when he's on the field, it changes the trajectory of everything. And a big part of us planning around Josh was, counting on his health and on the health of others, and we understand that injuries are going to occur, and we know he wants to be on the field. The challenge becomes having depth behind that. We knew that there was some risk in not having your best player on the field, but we thought it was worth it. We thought the fans from 15 and 16 deserved for us to push forward and try to do everything we can around that group, and we brought in players like Morales and Pierce. Obviously, Justin Smoke has been a great addition, and there's a lot of good things happening in and around, but when you don't have your best player for the bulk of the 18th season, for a lot of the 17th season, it's hard. So that definitely factors into the decision, and doesn't mean we don't think he's going to be great. He's going to continue to do great things, but it was certainly a factor.
Ross, and obviously hindsight is 2020 without question, maybe even 2015. And a lot of people said, well, you should have traded Donaldson last year, but coming in, as you said, you counted on Tulowitzki coming back from an injury-plagued season a year ago. You planned on Donaldson having a big season on his free agent year. And you planned on 5 starters pitching up to their capabilities. That's how things change. So it's easy to think, oh, yeah, we should have traded. We knew this was going to happen. But you went into the season with expectations of contending in this division.
Yeah, I mean, you said it well. I wish I would have bought a lot of Apple stock, too. There's a lot of revisionist history that happens in this game. We get it. We understand that. We understand there's a lot of risk, and we understand that there are times that things don't work out the way that we hope. What we plan towards is building depth, and then you take hope out when you have that depth. There is a lot of research, there's a lot of evidence that when you have a top system, when you have a 1-2-3 system, and you can sustain that for a couple of years, you are going to win. It is fact. There is evidence. It is going to happen. So if we can continue to build upon that depth, it will happen. It will only be a matter of time.
The window was closing on the 2015 and 2016 team. I think everybody could see that was an older team. And you've come in here and now you've changed that, and you've got some young players. You've been very busy over the last 6 weeks or so in trades. How do you like what the system looks like now?
Yeah, man, I can't say enough. I mean, I'm actually taken back by the progress that has occurred, and the work that our scouting department, our international department, our professional department that has brought this talent in to Ben Charrington and Gil Kim, and what all of our coaches have done, the job that they have done to help these players improve and get better, the strides that Danny Jansen and Barucki have made, the strides that Sean Reed Foley have made, it really is exciting to see that happening. They're doing it together. I haven't talked about 3 and 4 of our best prospects, so that's unusual. It is not it's not common in the game where you're 30 and 40 deep into your system and you're excited about the level of talent. So there's a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of good players on this team that are going to be here next year, and we're going to have some great stories out of guys like Randall Grichuk or Brandon Drury, Teoscar Hernandez. One of these guys is going to do something similar to a Jose Bautista, to a Josh Donaldson. Maybe not quite to that level, but if you think back to Josh Donaldson and Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion, they weren't household names. And a lot of guys start to figure things out at 25, 26, 27, and that's how old these guys are. And so we're extremely hopeful that one of those guys is going to turn into an exceptional story for us. And then we now have the depth that evidence tells you does win, and it will happen.
You had 6 All-Stars at AA New Hampshire. You had the Pitcher of the Year in the Florida State League. You had the MVP in the Eastern League in Kevin Biggio. And there are things that haven't happened in this organization happening right now. And I can speak from experience. I've seen this game from many different angles. In this day and age, for me, chemistry is the most important aspect of putting a team together. And it seems to me like you have really focused on building that chemistry and creating a winning attitude on this club.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't. And as much as gets said about analytics, as much as gets said about math, and we use that language too. There's a lot to be learned from it. But having a culture and having an environment where winning is expected, where players are holding each other accountable, where they enjoy each other as teammates, you cannot put a price on that. And that takes a lot of collaboration, a lot of effort. You can't hope for that. It has to be talked about. It has to be developed. It has to be a constant in our vocabulary. And when you start to hear players talking about it, when you start to hear the players saying that winning is what will matter and doing it together and we're going to focus on getting better every day, that's when you know you have something special. And I think you can see it in some of the young players here, how focused they are on doing things together, how well they take care of one another, and really how well some of them have transitioned here. It's a lot to be said, and for the work that's been done and for the environment that's here today.
You mentioned that you've been very busy over the last month because of the trade deadline, and you've traded off some of the veteran talent. Do you look for players with specific skills who are those type of players that you want in your organization that you can win with, winning players?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is, listen, we're not always going to be able to check every box. We would certainly like to, but it's extremely competitive environment. So everybody, all 30 teams wants that type of player, but we do ensure that we are exhausting that aspect of it. So when you look at a guy like McKinney that comes in here and his respect for the game, his respect for every single aspect of it, how he takes care of himself and how he takes care of the environment, he's fitting in very well with the Danny Janssens of the world and with the other names that I've mentioned.
When you look to Tuesday, do you plan on having more call-ups once the Buffalo season is over?
Yeah, we do. We're excited about a larger group that's going to come and join this group, and it's not going to be just solely based on just performance. It's a lot of the things that we're talking about right now. I think it's going to be important for these guys to be together. So I think it's going to be a little bit larger group than normal, and we're going to look to be creative with that as well. So again, this is a really powerful time. That we're obviously in a transition where we're going from household names to names that we hope will be. And, look, our goal is to do one thing. There's only one thing that matters. Process is important, effort is important, but all that matters is winning. And that's what we will be evaluated ultimately. We understand that, and it's a constant focus of ours.
There's another deep drive to center field off the bat of Aledmus Diaz. Brinson on the warning track. He'll make the catch, and Richard will tag and come in to score the second run of the inning. A couple of sac flies here in the third inning. Blue Jays have taken the lead. Okay, now I've got to ask you the million-dollar question. Vladimir Guerrero's hit .384 for the season. Everybody's saying, how come we're not seeing Vladdy? Well, the numbers would suggest that he's probably earned the right to come up. But there are other factors that really factor in, including the fact you don't have to protect he or Bichette yet at this time. Yeah. So you don't want to give up that roster spot because for the first time in a long time, you've got a lot of prospects that you have to add to the 40-man roster.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Vladdy won't be coming to the big leagues in September for a lot of different reasons. He has certainly earned the right with his offensive performance. He has been consummate in his effort to become a better overall player. But the roster spot is extremely important to us to keep as much depth as we can possibly keep here. Vladdy understands that this is one step of the process for him. He understands the opportunity to go with other players and teammates that he's been winning with and building and developing with to the Arizona Fall League. So that's the next best natural step in his development, and a very powerful one for all of them. So we're doing everything we can to get each of these players and Vladdy to the big leagues as fast as humanly possible, as the best possible player they can be. Not just as quickly as possible, but as the best possible player that they can be. So using the minor leagues as an opportunity to exhaust that is extremely important.
Were you surprised at his progress this year, Vladdy's?
You know, I mean, look, every time you look up, it just keeps getting better. He's been incredible. I think, you know what, the biggest surprise to me with Vladdy is how well he's handled it. How well he's handled the success, how well he's handled the attention, how well he's handled the expectation. He's already now experiencing some mild disappointment that he's not, and he's handled that exceptionally well. So the maturity, the baseball maturity, and the selfless nature and the teammate maturity has been the most surprising aspect of it. You know, but from the time that he was 16 years old, you could see that the bat was so elite and so special. You can see, you could go back and watch video of him when he was 16. The swing's very similar to how it looks now, and you know, the power is exceptional. The things that he does with ease, there are a lot of major league players in awe of how easy it is for him to hit.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable season for he and Bichette and Biggio as well. We've got 2 strikes, 2 outs here. Ross, can you hang around for another half inning?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks for having me on.
The Blue Jays have scored 2 runs here in the top of the 3rd. They've taken a 3-0 lead, and Bailey appears to be okay after getting hit by that pitch his last time up. There's ball 4. Well, let's talk a little bit about Sean Reed-Foley, what you've seen from him today compared to the first 2 times you saw him make his starts.
Yeah, we expected every promotion he's had, there has been some, whether it's anxiety, whether it's trying to do a little bit too much, which is very human. It's very, it's more the norm than not, and that's what we've seen here. You know, he came out guns blazing, and you could see from the sweat that was coming off of his uniform in Game 1. It was a hot day. I don't know if it was that hot, but he has handled it well, and now I think it looks like a little bit more settled in version of himself. And you know, it's interesting to watch him today versus the opposing starter and his debut.
That was Sean in Kansas City.
It's similar, and there's, you know, no matter who you are, and any major league player that has made the transition will tell you this, that, and you guys certainly know better than I, there is nothing like that feeling, that rush that you individuals are feeling when you're coming to the stage that you've dreamt about your whole life. You know, the way Sean expressed it the day that he made his debut was very candid. He talked about that feeling, and that's a good sign that he's able to verbalize it. So we're impressed by the power, impressed by his commitment, and impressed by the way he's handled a little bit of frustration. Players don't just usually come to the big leagues and have immediate success.
Yeah, it's never a straight line.
Your background is in player development. How does a player like Sean Reed-Foley get that? I mean, he obviously has it today, but what has he done different over his first 2 starts? You think going down to the minor leagues like he did and made a start down there might have helped him? Yeah,
I think it's time for a guy like Sean Reed-Foley. I think he really benefited from Major League Spring Training. I think he really benefited from getting, Joel Skinner used to talk to me a lot about the minor league manager I had for 5 years, about taking the wrapper off and really cracking that sweat and getting rid of that anxiety. It's such a fine motor skill, especially pitching. I mean, all of it is in and around baseball, that the smallest bit of anxiety can impact the difference in a ball and a strike, a double and a pop out. So getting that intensity level at the right level that you're accustomed to having is vital. And that takes sometimes 5 days for some players, and sometimes it takes a month and a half. When it takes longer than that, you're sometimes in trouble, but oftentimes it does take going back to the minor leagues. It's been really interesting to see with, Teoscar Hernandez. It was he came and there wasn't that level of anxiety, and recently I think he's lost some of his confidence, but he's battling through it. So to see him fight through it has been really encouraging.
Hernandez is headed for third. Luis Rivera is going to give him the go-ahead. Here's the throw to the plate. It is in time. Nice tag by Chad Wallach as Teoscar Hernandez is thrown out at the plate. Nice cutoff and relay by the Marlins. But the Blue Jays have taken a 3-0 lead. Ross Atkins will stay with us for another half inning. And Ross, when you look at the transformation that's taken place here, going back to July basically, and look at the ages of some of these players that have made their major league debut, that must make you feel real good about the development of these players in the minor leagues.
Yeah, no question. And then to think about players typically peaking at the 27, 28 age, what that could mean for 2 and 3 years down the road. These guys are already showing that they can handle this environment. They're showing that there's growth and development left here. There always is, as we've been talking about. But to think about having at some point soon, the bulk of your roster under that peak age is really exciting. And as I mentioned earlier, the evidence is so strong that when your system is elite, winning is imminent. So when you're looking up at that roster and talking about players that young and think about the talent behind it and just how deep that system is, it is really exciting for us to think about.
When you first arrived, I'll say this, that the minor league system didn't have much talent and certainly wasn't ranked very high. And now, where are the Blue Jays ranked as far as minor league systems as we speak?
Yeah, I mean, third overall, objectively, we see it the same way. You know, we pull back and have our own way to view that and gauge the talent in other systems. And, to be third overall is a good place to be. And it's going to get better. It really is. We're going to have players make strides. We're going to continue to acquire talent. I think we'll have a few more opportunities over the next couple years to continue to do that. Our drafts have been extremely successful thanks to the work of Tony LaCava and Steve Sanders and their amateur staff. It is really encouraging to think about where our system is today.
How important is winning in the minor leagues and developing, and how do you blend the two together?
Yeah, I mean, having a couple of championships last year is not something we took lightly. These guys have to learn how to do it, and doing it together is powerful. You see year in and year out the teams that, whether it's the Houston Astros or the Cubs, the Kansas City Royals, before they won championships, their minor league systems were winning championships. And, we were starting to feel that. We're starting to feel what winning is like in the minor leagues, and we're confident it's going to translate to wins here.
We talk about the Eastern League, the award winners. Kevin Biggio was named the MVP in the league, and at the same time, their manager in New Hampshire, John Schneider, he too was the manager of the year. The development first and foremost of Biggio. Last year, he hit 11 home runs in Dunedin. This year, he's hit 26, and he's 2 away from driving in 100. What is your impression of the turnaround for Biggio?
Yeah, man, you just can't doubt these guys. You can't doubt guys that make massive adjustments and are just tough as nails. And to make adjustments, that's what it takes. It takes toughness. It takes the courage to commit to what may seem like something very subtle, but to make an adjustment to his swing and really grind through it and have the toughness to do it and now see the results. I couldn't be happier for him. He has probably, arguably, we talk about it all the time, and we have a lot of strong character, young driven players in our system. And 3 of the best guys, their names come up constantly. And we've been talking about them, but their names come up for a reason. Biggio is certainly one of them. Barucki is another, and Danny Jansen. I mean, you talk to our minor league players, and they talk about character, they talk about teammate, and these guys are setting a really high bar, and that turns into great environments, and it turns into winning.
You know, again, your background is in player development, so how impressive is it for a 20-year-old at AA? And that's a big jump from A ball to AA, and I'm talking about Bo Bichette, to see what he's been doing this year.
Yeah, man. I mean, he experienced, and we were glad to see it. Not ever glad to see someone go through struggles, but to see the bounce back has been incredible.
Bounce back, he started off slowly.
Yeah, well, he just had a lull. He had a lull where he wasn't performing at the level he's accustomed to, and bounced back to a level of performance that when the competition is higher. So, you know, oftentimes with younger players, what you'll see is those valleys are longer, and the peaks and the valleys are more frequent. And he came out of that valley in a hurry and with a vengeance. And you know, what he's done at shortstop, what he's done as a base runner, what he's done with his body. You tell him he can't do something, he does it. Now, we're not telling him that ever. What we challenge him with is what we think he can do, and never putting ceilings on anyone. But, you know, it is exciting, that's for sure.
Ross, thank you so much for your time, and continued good luck, and looks like a strong September for the Blue Jays.
All right, Buck. Thanks, Tabby. Thanks, guys.
Sure.
In the 3rd inning, the quote that stood out was, quote, "When your system is elite, winning is imminent." So what does imminent mean from a timeline standpoint? Well, I spoke with Atkins, and he projects a difficult 2019, higher expectations in 2020, but by the following season, Ross says, quote, "We absolutely believe we should be in that mix." Matter of fact, Atkins added that by 2021, they'd be extremely disappointed if the ball club wasn't, quote, "extremely competitive." So, Buck, the rebuild is well underway.
Well, it sure is a rash, and as we've talked about often, the polishing off of the final edges of these young players has to occur in the major leagues. Ryan Barucki's made 12 starts in the big leagues. Thomas Pinone's made a couple of starts. Reed Foley's made 3 starts right now. Well, they're going to have to go through a whole season of making 32, 33 starts. They're going to have some setbacks. But as they gain that experience at 24, 25, 26, when they hit their prime at 27, they're going to be established major leaguers.
Yeah, they're going to have some years behind them, and that's pretty impressive stuff.
It is 3-0, and Reed Foley, he was a strikeout victim his first time up. New pitcher into the game for the Marlins is the right-hander Brett Graves.
Graves was a starter down in the minor leagues when he was with the Oakland A's organization. He's been transitioned into the bullpen. He's got a pretty decent arm. You can see his fastball's got some late life to it, above average curveball. He had a little bit of a changeup, but he looks more like a reliever than a starter.
Reed Foley strikes out for his second time, 1 out here in the top of the 4th. Yeah, with Ross Atkins in the booth for that last inning, it was really interesting to hear his take on the development of the system. And, you know, some of the details that went involved is the trade market became dramatically different once Donaldson had cleared waivers on Friday. So when he cleared waivers like that, what happens is that's a sign that everybody has access to his medical reports. Everybody knows what his contract obligations are. So they all passed on the opportunity to take him at that point. So then the trade market became much broader for the Blue Jays, and they had more options.
Yeah, if an American League team claims him, then he can only deal with that team in the American League. But because nobody claimed him, it was open to, you know, 4 different teams from what I understand. And that way the prospect list goes up. And from what I understand, they know who the player is that they're getting from Cleveland, and they're pretty excited about him.
Well, to give you an idea, just 4 of the 29 teams who are interested, and obviously most of those teams are out of the playoff hunt, so it cuts that market down. But at the same time, there's the issue of how much money are you going to send, how much money are they going to pay. The more money you send, the better the prospect is, and all of those things. It's part of negotiations. And when you're negotiating with 4 different teams, obviously you go back and forth. You have to weigh the various packages of players and cash involved and see what's the best for your situation. Plus you factor in the return. Is it an area of need? The Blue Jays are rich in catchers. They're rich in middle infielders, so we'll see. Player to be named later. We'll know more about that when we find out who it is for sure. Blue Jays go down in order. They have a 3-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th.
Blue Jays app where you can customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get Blue Jays home screen icons and features such as MLB TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at bat today. What a scene that was in Philadelphia last night. Umpire Joe West confiscating a cheat sheet from reliever Austin Davis. Phillies manager Gabe Kapler says he's been told they're allowed to use those cheat sheets. Joe West said that was a foreign substance that the pitcher wasn't allowed to have.
Yeah, Joe West again making headlines, but I tell you, foreign substance, come on, the kid's in the ball game. Everybody else has cheat sheets all over the field.
What was the substance?
I don't know. He had a scotch taped piece of paper that had a scouting report on it. and it was taken away from him. But Joe West came over from third base and said, "What are you looking at, kid?" "My scouting report. I don't know these guys. I just got called up." Took it away from him. Brian Anderson, he struck out his first time facing Sean Reed Foley. Foley has 5 strikeouts through 3 innings. He's allowed just 1 hit. That was a little bloop single off the bat of Stalin Castro on a slider.
Ball. Ooh.
I don't blame you, Sean.
Yeah, it looked like he had picked up his 6th strikeout of the afternoon as he threw that fastball right by Anderson. But the home plate umpire didn't agree.
Comes back with a slider and strikes him out. Now that's 6 strikeouts.
Take on any project with Home Hardware. Proud partner of the Toronto Blue Jays. Here's how.
The Blue Jays will leave Florida after this ball game and head home to take on the Tampa Bay Rays on Labor Day Monday. It'll be a Monday night game. And Marcus Stroman is scheduled to start for the Blue Jays. There's another first pitch strike. I tell you what, watching these Marlin hitters, there's a little extra giddy up on Sean Reed Foley's fastball.
And you know what's impressive about it is he's not trying to generate it. He's just letting it happen naturally. His body is working together. In his first couple of starts, it seemed like he was trying to push and shove and try to generate the ball up to the plate with a little bit more on it. Now everything is working together. The lower half, I mean, look at those legs and that backside. That's where you generate so much power from his legs, and they're working together with his arm this afternoon.
He's got a powerful body and one that should stand up to the rigors of making 33 starts over the course of a season. But I like the way that he has driven everything toward the plate, and he's just driving that fastball through the strike zone.
Yeah, you want to be compact and watch how the legs come up, and now he's driving towards home and he gets his arm up and it's working together.
There's a base hit. JT Realmuto looked like a changeup. He stayed on it and goes the opposite field for a base hit.
Well, he's just a good hitter. I've been thoroughly impressed with JT Realmuto here the last 3 days. We heard about him coming in here. He's an all-star, but watch this approach. Changeup down and away. That ball's off the plate, and he still gets good wood on it the other way.
Boy, that's a good swing. He stayed on the changeup. Might have been off the plate 3 or 4 inches, and he gets a base hit. A 1-out single. Here's Stalin Castro. He has the other Marlins hit. He had a little flare over the second baseman into shallow right field his last time up.
Yeah, that was on a 2-strike pitch. So he now has 64 hits this year with 2 strikes. That's the 4th most in the National League. That's another thing I've been impressed with this Marlins team over the last 3 days is their ability to hit with 2 strikes.
Castro has 159 hits for the season. But you're right, boy. He has been a good hitter for his entire career, and he's still a young player. Castro's 28 years old. He spent 6 years with the Cubs, 2 years in New York. This is his first season with the Marlins. Fouls this one back.
Sad to go from New York because he knew that they were going to have a good team, but they had picked up a prospect from the Cubs named Gleyber Torres, and he was going to be the future at second base, so that allowed Castro to be available, and he was the return for Giancarlo Stanton. Got a pretty good player in return.
Of course, Castro was disappointed when he was traded from the Yankees. Upstairs, Gleyber Torres, since you mentioned him, he's reached base in 14 of his last 23 plate appearances. He's hit .526 in his last 6 games. 10 for 19 with 3 homers and 8 ribbies. He accounted for the Yankee runs last night, hit a 2-run home run. And oh, by the way, his partner over at third, Miguel Andujar. He leads the major leagues with 32 ribbies since July 31st.
One of those guys is going to win the Rookie of the Year in the American League.
How about co-rookies of the year? Wouldn't that be something?
I could see it.
2-2, lined and caught by Travis. Throw to first. Oh, what a double play. Devin Travis left his feet, snared that line drive that was headed into center field, and then quickly throws to first to complete the double play. Travis has played great in the field, takes a hit away from Castro, and doubles off a Real Muto to end the inning. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Carolyn Cameron and Joe Siddle in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Lights on at Home and Auto Insurance goes Saturday, September 8th. First 20,000 fans will receive one of those R2D2s. 4 o'clock start when Cleveland's in town. BlueJays.com for tickets.
Well, that's indeed when Cleveland will be in town, and Josh Donaldson more than likely will be with the Cleveland Indians when they show up on Thursday night for a 4-game series with Cleveland. Brett Graves throws a first pitch strike to Kendrys Morales. Graves came in the 4th inning and retired the side in order. Little cutter on the outside corner for strike 2. Morales has a sac fly and a walk. He is officially 0 for 0, but he's scored a run and driven one in. This time he strikes out.
How about the Blue Jays this afternoon? We talked so much this year about their reliance on the home run to score them runs. Well, they've got 3 runs today. They've all scored on sacrifice flies. Successful at bats, productive at bat, productive outs,
and good base running. Billy McKinney went first to third on Travis's single and scored on Morales' sac fly in the 1st. Randall Grichuk, he hit a double and he scored the 3rd Blue Jay run.
He too tagged up and went from 2nd to 3rd to score on that 2nd sacrifice fly by Diaz. You know, you're not going to hit home runs all the time. That one gets them.
Second Blue Jay hit this afternoon. Maley got hit by a pitch in the 2nd. Now Grichuk gets hit.
Just a running fastball. The previous pitch was a breaking ball that got away from him. That time he got underneath that ball. Look how it comes inside. When you get underneath the ball like that, you don't stay on top of it and drive it towards home. Marlins have asked to take a look at this, and now they've waved it off.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that Gerchik was indeed hit by a pitch. Jim Wallach, the bench coach, went back to check with the video room. So a one-out man at first base for Gurriel. Hit sac fly to right field. His last time up. You make a great point, Pat, because everybody has been singing the praises of the Blue Jays hitting the home runs, but today's a perfect example how you can win games by running the bases, having good focused at bats, and they've had 3 sac flies today to produce the 3 runs.
And when you face good pitching, you're not going to be able to sit there and slug the ball, knock it out of the ballpark. You're going to have to manufacture it and do some things offensively to help your team move runners, hit sacrifice flies, whatever it takes. Just look at the approach at the plate. That's what's important, how they've hit the ball and where the sacrifice flies have come. Gurriel's sacrifice fly was deep to right field. So that tells me that he was staying on that ball, trying to use the whole field. He didn't want to strike out. And then Diaz straight to center field.
Miss Diaz sacrifice fly gives him 42 RBIs for the season. Gurriel battling with an 0-2 count. Plays off that breaking ball. You know, we were talking with Ross Atkins, the general manager, about so many of the younger players, and we didn't mention this guy right here. He's a rookie in his first season. He has been impressive. He has put together a 12-game hit streak this year. He's hitting .291, make it .293 as he gets his first base hit of the game.
You know, whenever
he's been really a good hitter.
Yeah, when you watch young hitters, what I like to do is I like to follow the barrel of the bat. Okay, does the bat get underneath the ball? Does it get on top of the ball? Or does it go right to the ball? Watch his barrel go right to the ball. And look how long that swing stays on the hitting plane. That's going to be a good hitter. Wherever he ends up playing, no matter where they play, he's a hitter. And that's something that's hard to teach kids. He's a young player. He hasn't grown into his body yet, if you ask me. But with that swing, that says 300.
Miss Diaz with runners at first and second and 1 out. Diaz has popped out and hit a sac fly. He swings right through that breaking ball. Ball on the strike now to the third baseman. Diaz is making his 11th start at third base. He has played well there. The majority of his work has come at shortstop.
Yeah, he's had to give a little because the Blue Jays really want to take a look at Lourdes Gurriel and what he can offer. Playing him every day of the month of September. They're looking at him at shortstop in these 3 games against the Marlins, how well he fares. So Diaz, he has to slide over and play third base. I think he has shown the Blue Jays enough that he can play. Looking for a career high in home runs.
Little chopper towards short. Riddle bare hands fires in the dirt, scooped over at first by Real Muto. Nice play on both ends. Riddle, a do-or-die play. The only chance he had was to barehand it, and then he gets some help by the first baseman, Real Muto.
He's a nice looking shortstop. It looks like he's a sure-handed infielder. Look at those hands to pick that ball up, fire across his body, and it's picked on the other end by yesterday's starting catcher, who's playing first base to get the out.
A couple of red stars in the book for the Marlins infield. Teoscar Hernandez now, what a block by Wallach. That saves a run for sure. Big guy, but he was quick moving out to his right.
And when a ball is spinning the way this is, it looks like a hard curve ball. You have no idea where that thing's going to hit the dirt and bounce. It could bounce left, it could bounce right. Just get your body in front of it. Chad does a good job of saving a run. I like what Ross Atkins was saying about Teoscar Hernandez. He came up here, he's had success. Now he's going through a little bit of a dry period. Tells you a lot about the player, what they are, what they will become, battling their way out of these types of peaks and valleys. What you want is that valley not to be very long. Just you're going to have failure. It's a given. The game is too hard, but how long do you stay down?
That's always a key, as to how you're affected by those troughs when you do go 0 for 12, 0 for 15, how you can bounce back and how you can shorten those overs.
Do you take it on the field with you defensively, or are you able to separate it?
There's a deep drive to left field. Get up, ball. Get up and get out of here. Gone. Teoscar Hernandez with his 19th home run. And boy, he hit a good pitch.
Yes, he made it look silly on the previous pitch, a breaking ball. That one was off the plate, but then he comes right back. Graves does with a breaking ball, and he stayed on that one. Maybe that'll get you out of that valley a little bit quicker. That was a heck of a swing, and that's why they're excited about him, because he can do that kind of stuff. One swing of the bat and 3 more runs for the Blue Jays. They've doubled their lead.
First home run of the day for the Jays, and Teoscar now has 19 homers. Luke Maley, the catcher. 6-0 Blue Jays.
Stay back, let it come to you, and it does. And there's a sweet swing. That's got to make you feel good.
Maley drives this one into the alley and right. That's going to go past Sierra all the way up against the wall. Luke Maley with his second double of the game. He's been on base all 3 times he's come to the plate.
Yeah, he got upset his first time up. Remember, he got hit on the hand his first time up. He says, okay, forget that. He doubled the left field his second time up, and now his third time up takes this pitch away from him. That's the biggest improvement I've seen from Luke Maley this year, is hitting the ball with authority the other way.
Luke's a big guy, a big, strong guy, and he has certainly learned a little bit more about hitting this season. It's been a good year for him. Here's the pitcher, Sean Reed Foley. He has struck out both times he's come to the plate. First time he has ever had a bat in a big league game. And it looks like it.
Go on and help yourself right here. That last swing brought a smile.
Hey, got a piece of it. You know, I think it's good for pitchers to hit. You can see everybody's cheering him on from the dugout. Hey, a foul ball. We're moving in the right direction.
It's good for him to hit because they see how difficult it is.
Exactly. Breaking ball, and Reed Foley has struck out all 3 times with the Blue Jays. Get a big home run from Teoscar Hernandez. A 2-out home run on a breaking ball. That's his 19th homer of the season, and the Blue Jays have a 6-0 lead.
And he's going to take this one a long way according to StatCast. StatCast AI is powered by AWS. That one 409 feet for Teoscar. His last home run came on August the 9th versus Boston. It's been a dry spell for him, but he gave the Blue Jays 3 quick runs with that one swing.
Teoscar's walked twice and homered today. John Reed Foley, well, he's been on his game. 2 hits through 4 innings. Just 51 pitches. 37 of those 51 have been for strikes. The Blue Jays starters over the last 7 games have pitched a total of 28 1/3 innings. Relievers have outpitched the starters over those 7 games. There's a base hit back up the middle. Rafael Ortega with a leadoff single here in the 5th. The Blue Jays starters have just 1 game in which they have pitched 5 innings over those last 7 games, and the starters' record is 0-4 with a 12.07 earned run average. Coming into this game, they had given up 38 earned runs in 28 1/3 innings. But today is a different story. You see the road trip numbers over the last 11 road games. The ERA is over 11. Opponents hitting .372. And they're allowing over 2 runners per inning to reach base.
Yeah, you don't stick around that long when you've got that kind of damage against you. It helps that the rosters have expanded and they're going to have a couple of extra arms in that bullpen, but you got to get your starters deep.
Ground ball up the middle. Under the glove of Travis into center. Ortega's headed for third. Devin Travis got to it, but ball snuck under his glove. Back-to-back singles here to start the inning in the 5th.
Yeah, they were only going to get 1 out with the way Lewis Brinson can run. If he could get to it, catch it, and then flip it to Gurriel, that's the only chance of getting it out, but it sneaks under his glove. Right there, he just can't get it down long enough and keep it down long enough that even the throw to second base was going to be tough.
4 hits now for the Marlins. First and third, nobody out. The catcher, Chad Wallach, a strikeout victim back in the 2nd. And he hit him. A breaking ball hung inside, and the hitter is hit by a pitch. That'll load the bases with nobody out.
Okay, now this is a great test for a young pitcher. You've been cruising right along. You've got a 6-run lead, and now you've loaded the bases with nobody out. Let's see you go to work now. And I think Pete Walker is going to go out there and talk to him and say that same thing. Take it 1 pitch at a time, 1 batter at a time. Gets underneath that breaking ball and it spins and stays on the inside part of the plate, hits Wallach right in the elbow. And the message is, hey, you've been great so far today. Don't change anything. Don't speed the game up now that they have the bases loaded and nobody out.
Remember the same effort level, the same tempo, the same rhythm that you had early in this game, and you'll pitch your way out of this jam. Reed Foley has 6 strikeouts. This is Magneuris Sierra, the right fielder. He flied out to right his only time up. Little flare down the left side and foul.
Learning experiences every time you take the mound, and this could be a good learning experience for a young pitcher.
The Marlins trail 6-0. You see Derek Dietrich, left-handed hitter, out on deck, loosening up. Nick Whitgren has just been called up from the minor leagues, added to this roster. '92, but a very well-placed fastball, and it's 1-2.
What do you have to strike him out with? Is it your breaking ball?
That's a foul ball. Went to the fastball, and Sierra was late on it.
Sierra was expecting a breaking ball. That's why he had that emergency swing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Reed Foley now is just think how you're going to get this next out. Yeah, it might cost you a run, but just have to get outs. You've got a 6-run cushion.
Yeah, and don't think about the next batter or the batter after that, what the score is. Think about this pitch. And there you go.
Well, a good breaking ball, and Sierra strikes out. That's 7 strikeouts for Reed Foley.
You know, he didn't show him his breaking ball that whole at bat until he got to 2 strikes. And now you surprise the hitter by throwing a hard breaking ball. It looks like a strike, and look where it ended up. Down, and it's blocked by Luke Manley for the first out.
Derek Dietrich coming off the bench to pinch hit. He's 3 for 18 as a pinch hitter. Dietrich started in the game on Friday. He was the cleanup hitter. He started at first base Friday night. Had a couple of hits, had an RBI single in the 4th inning. Came around to score. 270 for the season, 16 home runs.
Mattingly is going to try and get right back into this game with one swing, sending up his only left-handed hitter, possibly his best hitter, sitting on the bench.
Ball and a strike to Dietrich. Dietrich was a 2nd-round pick of the Tampa Bay Marlins. Traded here to Miami in 2012 for Yunel Escobar.
He's an Ohio boy from Cleveland.
Ground ball foul outside of first.
I like his tempo. I like how he has slowed things down now after the bases loaded. Nobody were out. His first game, he was trying to rush through and try to get through it as fast as possible, and just was all out of whack. And then when things went sideways in New York, he just didn't know how to finish it off. Now just slow things down and concentrate pitch to pitch.
Caught by Travis, throw to second, not in time. Brinson very heads up, gets back ahead of the toss from Travis. 2 outs now.
You're down by 6 runs. There's no place to go on the bases. Any line drive, you're not trying to think the score. He freezes. Okay, now you got 2 outs. You still have to stay within yourself. We've seen so many young pitchers come up here and say, "Hey, I'm almost out of it. I'm almost out," and then they try to rush, and then they end up giving a base hit. Reed Foley has shown some pretty good command now with 2 outs.
The leadoff man, J.T. Riddle, struck out and flied out. Bases loaded, but now there are 2 outs. Pete Walker went to the mound with the bases loaded and nobody out, and sent a message to Reed Foley, probably what you were talking about. Hey, you were good early. Don't try to be better.
Concentrate on making a pitch. Don't Don't worry about anything. The last thing you can do is say, hey, I'm almost out of it. Now I got to really be perfect. And you don't. Just make good pitches.
That's 3-0. Number 2 hitter Brian Anderson is on deck. There's a strike. 3-1 now. Well, it'd be nice if he could get out of this inning without allowing a run.
Yeah, he's had some big time movement on that fastball today and some extra life to the plate.
Ball 4 outside. That'll force in a run. So the Marlins are on the board. It's now a 6-1 ball game. A couple of singles, a hit batter, and now a 2-out walk issued by Sean Reed Foley. Pete Walker with some instructions down to the bullpen. Looks like they're going to start to go to work. Blue Jays scored 3 runs in the top of the 5th. Brian Anderson has struck out both times against Reed Foley. And he waves at that breaking ball. That's a good call by Luke Maley.
Yes, very much so. He was blowing some fastballs by him his first 2 at-bats. So you know Anderson was sitting on the fastball. After that bases loaded walk, he was sitting on the fastball, and they crossed him up, threw him a slider.
Brian Anderson has a terrific rookie season going. You look at the rookie RBI leaders in the majors. We talked about the 2 rookies in New York, and Duhar and Torres, and Brian Anderson is 3rd in rookie RBIs this season in the big leagues with 58.
Definitely going to get some votes for National League Rookie of the Year. Choking up on that bat now with 2 strikes. He's trying to make the adjustment against Sean Reed Foley.
Ryan Tepera loosening up for the Blue Jays. Anderson has hit .383 this season with runners in scoring position. That's first in the National League. Reed Foley got away with a hanging breaking ball right there, and he knew it. After his pitch was fouled off, he walked off the mound in frustration.
Yeah, he knew he got away with one. When you were catching and your pitcher threw a breaking ball like that, it was a mistake and it was up. Did you have any thoughts of them following that up with a high fastball?
No, I had thoughts of coming right back with a breaking ball.
Coming right back with a breaking ball?
It's fresh in his mind how that bad one felt. Fastball off the plate.
Yeah, he overthrew that one.
But when he hangs a breaking ball, he knew he hung it, and it's really fresh in his mind what he has to do to throw the next one and make it a good one.
To make the adjustment.
Oftentimes I'd come right back with it. Whether hitter would think, well, he threw a bad one, he's not going to throw another one. 2-2 pitch to Anderson. High breaking ball. Anderson has struck out all 3 times he's come to the plate against Reed Foley. Reed Foley has 8 strikeouts and a 6-1 lead as we head to the 6th. is coming, and it's a game changer. Get ready for a refined travel experience. Visit 787.westjet.com to see the whole story. The whole story in South Florida is sunshine and beach, and it's been a good 3 days here for the Blue Jays. They have a 6-1 lead trying to win the series, 2-1. New pitcher for the Miami Marlins is Nick Whitgren.
This is his second stint with the big league team. He's 2-1 with a .363 earned run average. He's allowed 8 earned runs over his last 7 games. Before that, he hadn't given up a run in his first 12 games in the big leagues. Fastball, curveball from Whitgren. Of course, he's never faced the Blue Jays. First part of a chance to pitch in the big leagues for the first time. Came up in 16 for a little bit in last year. 38 games for the Marlins. He's pitched in 22 this year. Mostly out of the bullpen.
Whitgren is 27 years old. A Marlins draft pick back in 2012, 9th rounder. John Gibbons having a chat with the starter. Sean Reed Foley. Didn't look like he took him out of the game. That's a fair ball. McKinney's retired, 3 unassisted on the play.
Yeah, maybe just a little something to tell him. You know, Gibby was an ex-catcher. He knows a little something about pitching. Doesn't look like he's out of the game, which is good. Give him another inning. See if he can battle back and finish off his day with a good inning.
He's only allowed 4 hits and a single run. Devin Travis is 1 for 3. Now it's a ball and a strike to Travis. Goes after that high fastball. Devin's now in his 4th season with the Blue Jays. He has been healthy all season long, and with that he has the 2nd most at-bats of his career. The highest total of at-bats came in 2016 as he had 410 at-bats. Another high fastball and the strikeout.
The 2018 Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Marlins Park opened in 2012, and it's a very modern ballpark, and the amenities are all first class.
On the site of former Orange Bowl.
Yep. Some of the greatest football teams ever played in the Orange Bowl. Of course, that great undefeated team, the Miami Dolphins.
How about Joe Namath in the Jets upsetting the Colts in Super Bowl III? That was played right here.
68, right?
Yes.
Super Bowl of 68 after the 67 season. 3rd Super Bowl. I think.
Yeah, 68 season in 69.
Fastball upstairs. Actually saw Virginia Tech play Nebraska at the Orange Bowl, in the Orange Bowl. One count to Kendrys Morales. Has an RBI and a run scored this afternoon.
Miami is going through the same thing right now that the Blue Jays are going through in the month of September. They want to take a look at some of their young players and young pitchers. Now Mattingly has some players that he wants to put his eyes on as they look forward to 2019. They are carrying 9 relievers today But I'm sure that will go up in the next couple of days as the minor league seasons start to wind down.
And most of the minor league action will finish on Labor Day tomorrow, save for the playoffs.
Hey, sometimes you have to do that. You know, you have to put them in game situations to try to evaluate them. Now, the worst thing that you can do, you don't want to get fooled. And the fooling comes in spring training and in the month of September. But good baseball people can see certain things, like how a pitcher reacts in certain situations, what their fastball plays up to, the hitters, what they look like. I mean, if you hit 400 in September, that really doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, you're hitting it generally against guys that are maybe doing the same thing you are, getting a September call-up. There's a drive deep to left field. Ortega's back at the edge of the track. He makes the catch on the warning track. Nick Whitgren has a 3-up, 3-down inning. Sean Reed Foley going back out to pitch the bottom of the 6th. After our ball game today, it all starts at 4 Eastern time right here on Sportsnet. That's 1 Pacific. Arizona and the Diamondbacks, they are tied atop the National League West, 74 and 62. They have the same record. It's going to be another fine game. It'll be Clay Buchholz against Walker Buehler. Buchholz, what a season he's put together. A bounce back here at 7-2.
Yeah, he said he's finally healthy and he's producing. Good job out there by Arizona recognizing that, getting him in the rotation.
Of course, Buchholz and Torey Lovello, the manager, were together with Boston, so they had a familiarity with one another. JT Realmuto has one of the 4 hits that Reed Foley has allowed. Sean Reed Foley in line for his first big league win.
Boy, what a job last inning, loading the bases with nobody out. A couple of singles, a hit batter, but he only gave up that 1 run on a bases loaded walk. Now you like to see him finish off his day with a good inning.
Fly ball to right. Billy McKinney running over into foul territory. He gets there and makes the catch, 1 away. It is September 2nd. And on this day in history, in 1990, history was made by Dave Stieb. He finally completed a no-hitter. It was the first and only no-hitter in franchise history. As I remember Junior Felix making the final out in right field at Cleveland against the Indians. Stieb had 3 other games with no-hitters into the 9th inning and lost them all.
Yeah, it was finally like, hey, finally got over the hump. Wasn't one of those a perfect game?
The one against the Yankees, August 4th, 1989. He had 2 attempts at a no-hitter in September of '88. in back-to-back starts. But Dave Stieb has the only no-hitter in franchise history. It occurred on September 2nd, 1990.
Great pitcher. Great pitcher.
There's a breaking ball for a strike. It's 1-2 to Starlin Castro.
Uh-oh, he's got 2 strikes. He singled his first time up and then hit that bullet back through the middle with 2 strikes. That Devin Travis turned into a double play. Starlin Castro's become a pretty good 2-strike hitter. I remember when he first came up, you could get the 2 strikes and he was a wild swinger. He could throw fastballs up or breaking balls off the plate and he'd swing at it. Now he's more controlled. He's Javi Baez. Baez has turned into a pretty good player.
2-2. Breaking ball, right field. McKinney makes a nice sliding catch. Another line drive off the bat of Castro with 2 strikes. Well, he is short and quick to the ball with 2 strikes.
He'll take a shot early on in the at-bat to try and go for extra bases. But once he gets to 2 strikes, watch this swing, cuts it down, and he almost gets a hit. But Billy McKinney's played some great defense. Left field, he's been outstanding today. He gets a shot in right field. This is his 3rd start this year for the Blue Jays hitting right field. He got a great break on that one.
Pete Walker has to be very pleased with what he's gotten from his young starter, Sean Reed-Foley, today. Just 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. 5 2/3 in the books. Just the 2nd time in the last 8 games a starter has completed 5 innings. Blue Jay starters have been roughed up lately. Not the case today.
His confidence level is a lot higher than the last time we saw him in New York. That's the way he's handling himself out there. Hey, Yankee Stadium will do that to you.
It's done that to veterans. Rafael Ortega takes one inside. Ortega has scored the only run the Marlins have put on the board today. He scored on a bases loaded walk. Still a lot of late life on that Reed-Foley fastball.
Nice.
Strike 3 call. How about Sean Reed-Foley in his 3rd big league start? 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, and 9 strikeouts.
Horror opening month. Night and day, Grichuk said. He feels the year turned the corner around the All-Star break. He had a good month of June, and that allowed him to relax, trust himself again, and just let his play take over. Now, it was a tough start. Injured in spring, the bad April, then the disabled list. But it was during the time away that Grichuk said he took a step back and realized, hey, I don't have a lot of at-bats. There's a lot of season left. A lot of good still can be done. Now he's one away from the 20 home run plateau, which Randall said would be huge for him, would mean a lot, because after how bad April and May went, that number can cement a real nice turnaround to this 2018 season for him.
Well, it sure can, Arash, and you're right. He had a tough start to his season. First-year player coming in, gets hurt in spring training. Hurt his side, hurt his wrist in a diving play, got off to a terrible start with the bat, and then injured his knee. But he has come back fighting, that's for sure.
Yeah, changing leagues. Okay, that you know, you got to do your homework all over again and understand different ballparks, different pitchers, different everything. There's an adjustment period. That reset, if you want to call it, going on the disabled list, really helped him out.
Whitgren gets that high fastball past him. Nick Whitgren retired the side in order in the 6th, his first inning this afternoon. 20 home runs this season will give Randall Grichuk 3 straight 20-plus home run seasons. He had a career-high 24 in 2016 for the Cardinals. Followed that up with a 22 home run season last year. He's got 19 as we speak. Broken bat grounder. Grichuk's retired.
Beauty Tone is the official paint of the Toronto Blue Jays, only available at Home Hardware. Here's how.
A lot going on down in South Florida. Looks like a big cruise ship just getting ready to take off Sunday afternoon.
I've been impressed being down here. This is only my second time to come down here and do games, but there's lots to do. You could go fishing if that's what you like. Sports galore. Basketball, baseball, football, of course, college football, pro football. Go to the beach, hang out there if you want to. There's South Beach. Lots to do.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. This is just his 3rd plate appearance. Had a sacrifice fly in the 3rd inning, and Singleton scored in the 5th. Boy, Whitgren has worked that high fastball since he's come into the game.
Got a little extra life up in the strike zone. His big pitch is a curveball. He's got a good one. Here it comes.
A foul tip held on to by the catcher, Wallach. Second strikeout for Whitgren. He's retired all 5 batters he's faced.
Second stint with the club. Cut that ball. That wasn't a curveball. He cut that fastball for the strikeout. He's faced 5 batters. He's set them all down.
Popped up left side of the infield. That's J.T. Riddle, the shortstop. Quick inning for Whitgren. 3 up, 3 down. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. Sean Reed Foley looks like he's coming back. Well, the Yankees have had a little trouble lately. They just can't get anything going, and they've got the bad news that they might not have Aroldis Chapman for the rest of the season, dealing with the injuries. Got a knee problem. Reed Foley out to start the 7th. 9 strikeouts. He's thrown just 91 pitches. He's been very efficient.
You know what you want to see from young pitchers? You want to see improvement from start to start. His first start against Kansas City, he had 3 strikeouts. His next one against the New York Yankees, he doubled that to 6 strikeouts, and today has been his finest start so far. He's been under control. He's been able to throw the ball where he wants to. He's got 9 strikeouts in 6 innings using his fastball, his changeup, and his breaking ball, at times a hard slider to finish off some of these Marlin hitters. Figured this would be a good test for him. You're playing in a big ballpark, a team that doesn't hit a lot of home runs. Go ahead and be aggressive with your fastball, and he has.
Last pitcher to throw 7 innings for the Blue Jays was Thomas Pannone. He threw 7 innings of no-run baseball, allowed just the 1 hit. That was on Wednesday, the afternoon game against the Orioles on August 22nd. Lewis Brinson takes a mighty cut at the first pitch.
Brinson, you talk about a player transitioning to another team. He came over from Milwaukee in that Kristen Yelich trade and really pressed early on. Had a brutal first half. But he seems to be figuring things out.
Brinson's retired on a fly ball to right. Oh, Chad Wallach will come in. The catcher has struck out, and he was hit by a pitch. When Wallach was hit by a pitch, that loaded the bases for the Marlins in the 5th inning. But Reed Foley would strike out Sierra and then get the pinch hitter Dietrich to line out, but then hit the leadoff man JT Riddle with the bases loaded. Actually walked him. He didn't hit him. He walked him with the bases loaded. That's accounted for the only Marlins run this afternoon. But then Reed Foley would strike out Brian Anderson to end the threat.
He hasn't given up a base runner since that bases loaded walk to Riddle. What you like to see from a young pitcher. Get back into that groove. And he's back in it.
Looking for his first big league win this afternoon. This is just his 3rd major league start. Reed Foley has 9 strikeouts. We went back and looked at the Blue Jays rookie record for strikeouts in a game. It's 11, done on 4 different occasions. Most recently, Scott Richmond, the Canadian, had 11 strikeouts on the 17th of June in 2009. There have been 5 pitchers strike out 10 in a game. Again, Richmond included in that group. Todd Redmond had 10 strikeouts in 2013. Sean Markham in 2006. Juan Guzman way back in '91. And that's number 10. 2 outs. Let's check in with Carolyn Cameron. The Blue Jays wanted that last baseball.
Yeah, Sean doesn't have one, and the home plate umpire said, "Where'd the ball go?"
Yeah, he just gave it to the dugout. So it's 10 strikeouts. That's the significance of that last strikeout. So Sean Reed Foley probably wasn't aware of that. So now he's just 1 shy of the all-time Blue Jays rookie record for strikeouts in a game at 11. Josh Donaldson's press conference in Cleveland has just started, and you can stream it on sportsnet.ca. Travis, 360, and Sierra's retired. 7 innings in the book for Sean Reed-Foley. What an outing. His third with 10 strikeouts and a 6-1 lead. Honda-Vac, it always bats cleanup.
Over the last 2 weeks in the American League, only the Oakland A's have hit more home runs than the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays are going to use the long ball today to double their score. Teoscar Hernandez gets into it. That breaking ball, a 3-run home run to left field, his first home run since August the 9th. He did that against Boston. That is this afternoon's drive of the game, brought to you by Teoscar Hernandez with his 19th home run of the season. That was a good sign, too. It came off of a breaking ball. He stayed back and put a good swing on it.
Two teams have split the first 2 games of this 3-game series. The Blue Jays have the lead in this rubber match 6-1 as they are prepared to bat in the 8th. And they will face a new pitcher, Javi Guerra.
Javi Guerra has kicked around now for a few years in the big leagues. He's been with the Dodgers. He's been with the White Sox. He spent some time with the Angels. This is his 3rd year with the Marlins. The numbers in 24 games this year for him. He has been pitching out of the bullpen for the last couple of seasons. He will get the bottom of the order for the Blue Jays.
He's always been basically a 1-inning pitcher. The entirety of his career, this ball is drilled to center field. Brinson's on the run. He makes a nice running catch. Right on the edge of the warning track, he takes extra bases away from Teoscar Hernandez.
That's why the Marlins are so excited about Lewis Brinson, what he can do defensively. Got off to a tough start offensively. Today, he is shading him that way. Watch him get the jump, drop step, and just outrun the baseball. He's got some athletic ability.
One away, Luke Mailey's had a nice day at the plate, couple of doubles, and he was hit by a pitch. He's also had the pleasure of catching a terrific outing from the rookie Sean Reed-Foley. It makes a guy like Luke Mailey feel real proud. 7 innings of a 10 strikeout ball game for Reed-Foley. He's allowed only 4 hits. Pat, it was a different Reed-Foley from the start of this game today. He struck out the side in the first, and that really got him off from the right foot.
He established his fastball, and he was putting it where he needed to. He wasn't overthrowing it. There's Thomas Pannone, who is now into the bullpen and will come in to face the bottom of the 8th inning. But he stayed within himself. I thought Luke did a good job of continually establishing that fastball early on, and then mixing in his changeup and his slider. Boy, you got to be happy with what you saw this afternoon from Sean Reed-Foley.
Mailey with an 0-2 count. Breaking ball, he stays alive. Reed-Foley turned 23 years old on the 30th of August, so he'll play next year. This is a 23-year-old most of the season. He grew up in Jacksonville, and you can bet he's got family and friends here to share this great moment. He's in line for his first big league win. Maley drills this one to center field, and Brinson's not going to get this one. Up against the wall, and Maley will check in with his third double of the afternoon. Well, he's had a great day swinging the bat.
Yeah, you mentioned the catching part of it. That is what backup catchers are in there for, to do a great job catching. And now, today, add the offense. He was hit by a pitch his first time up. He's doubled to left field. He's doubled to right field. Now he's going to double to center field. This ball is stung by Maley. Luke smokes that ball. Brinson can't run that one down. Extra bases again. 3 doubles this afternoon for Luke.
Kevin Pillar is batting for the pitcher Sean Reed-Foley. He takes the first pitch strike. Pillar batting .251 for the season. Kevin is 0 for 7 in this series, coming off the bench to bat as a pinch hitter. Of course, this is Luke Maley's first 3-double game of his career.
We'll have to ask him, were you happier with the 3 doubles or the way you called the game and caught Reed-Foley? I know what he's going to say. The defense. He's a good defensive catcher.
Yeah, he's done a nice job calling games and handling Reed-Foley. First time in his career he's had 3 extra base hits in the same game. Got 13 doubles now for the season, and when Reed-Foley looks at that box score many years from now, his first major league win will feature the catcher Luke Maley. Pillar is out, grounds out 4-3 as Maley moves over to third. Javi Guerra is the 4th Marlins pitcher to work this afternoon. The starter Jeff Brigham, making his major league debut, gave up 3 runs on 4 hits over 3 innings. Billy McKinney scored the first run of the ball game. He singled and scored on the sac fly by Kendrys Morales. He has since walked and grounded out twice.
Javi Guerra's got some history with his manager. You'll see that a lot when managers move from job to job, and they'll go out and pick up players that they had in that organization. Guerra pitched for Mattingly in Los Angeles with the Dodgers when Donnie was there. In fact, he was a closer for him. He had 21 saves one year in 2011. So when Mattingly came over here, he says, let's get Guerra. He's available. Let's go get him and put him on this team.
Billy McKinney stays alive as he puts that bat on the ball. (6-1) Blue Jays. They bat in the top of the 8th. They lost last night 6-3 and won a thriller on Friday night 6-5 with a 5-run 9th inning. Billy McKinney has determined at bats. And he goes to the plate. He tries to be a tough out. And he's proven to be just that.
Yeah, don't give away any at bats. Got a chance for an RBI right here. You got a runner 90 feet away. Drive him in.
Ground ball to the shortstop. Riddle has it. That'll end the inning. Blue Jays leave a base runner on. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 6-1 Blue Jays. Time now for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Carolyn Cameron and Joe Siddle in the Samsung broadcast studio. 3 starts at the major league level, and you can see the numbers from the first 2 combined, 9 in the third. Today, 7 strong innings, Pat.
Yeah, he got that initial start out of the way in Kansas City. You can tell he was nervous, he was sweating, and then he had to pitch in Yankee Stadium, and they hit 3 home runs against him in 4 1/3 innings. Today, a different story. Under control from the first pitch to the last pitch, and when he got into trouble, instead of fighting his way through it and muscling his way through it, he took his time, he got through that, and then he retired. Everybody else after that walk, 7 in a row to finish up that. So his day is done. 7 very good innings for Reed Foley. Now it's over to Thomas Pannone in 6 games. There are the numbers for the left-hander. Pannone will be pitching in front of a different defense.
Billy McKinney started in right. He moves to left field. Kevin Pillar came on as a pinch hitter. He takes over in center. With that, the starting center fielder, Brando Grichuk, is over in right. So Teoscar Hernandez is out of the ball game. Thomas Pannone will be placed in the 7th spot in the Blue Jays order in place of Teoscar Hernandez. 7th appearance for Pannone. He has made 2 starts. He was told he was going to pitch out of the bullpen for the near future, and they haven't given him any ideas about the rest of the month of September. But Marcus Stroman is coming back off the DL tomorrow. He'll make the start. So they push Pannone down to the bullpen for the time being.
He's had to wait a long time since the last time he was on the mound. He had that start in Baltimore where he just couldn't get in sync at all. 3 1/3 innings, and he was touched up for 7 runs. Just had no control of his pitches.
It was a hot, muggy series in Baltimore, and we saw several of the pitchers on both sides struggling to get control of that baseball. It was just hot, muggy. They couldn't get a good grip on it.
Yeah, the ball was slipping out of his hand. He couldn't get his breaking ball over. He couldn't put the fastball. He made a lot of mistakes with his fastball in his 3 1/3 inning. And his changeup. So different atmosphere today, so he can just go right after these guys.
Foul tip. Earlier in the ball game, back in the 3rd inning, we had a chance to visit with the executive vice president of baseball operations for the Blue Jays, Ross Atkins, and he was talking about the progress of the minor league system, and we really talked a lot about the position players. Of course, the top prospects in Vladdy Guerrero, Bo Bichette, Gavin Biggio. But as far as pitching, there are some names that are starting to surface in that regard as well. Patrick Murphy was named the Florida State League Pitcher of the Year, pitching at Dunedin this year. John Harris has pitched the entire season at Double-A. He's making some progress as well. Jordan Romano, the Canadian, has had a good year. He was pitching most of the time in Double-A this year.
TJ Zoik has come on, the former 1st-round draft pick.
Fly ball to right field. Grichuk is in right now, and he will make the catch as Rojas is retired.
You know, it's also unfortunate for the Blue Jays when you're talking about some of their young pitchers. Nate Pearson broke his arm in his first start of the season in A-ball, and he's been out all year. Big high draft pick from a couple of years ago. Big strike throwing machine.
He is starting to throw. There is some thought that he might get a chance to throw in instructional league, and maybe later on. Maybe even a short stint in winter ball, just to get him back to pitching once again.
Get some innings.
He was injured in his first start. That's Ben Meyer standing by down in the bullpen for Miami. That is a breaking ball pulled foul by JT Riddle. Pannone retired the pinch hitter, Miguel Rojas. The Bluefield team in the Appalachian League will play the final game of their semifinal series this afternoon. It'll start at 5 Eastern time. Princeton and Bluefield have split the first 2 games. And there's a strikeout for Pannone. Boy, he can get that ball inside to lefties and to righties.
Yeah, he's made 4 relief appearances for the Blue Jays this year, and then a couple of starts. One really good one against Baltimore, and that last one where he wasn't around very long. He'll pitch out of the bullpen now and put that one in a good place, up and in.
Brian Anderson's had a rough afternoon with the bat. He has struck out all 3 times he's come to the plate. We mentioned Patrick Murphy. He's 23 years old, pitched at Dunedin and got up to AA for a time. 10-5 on the season with a .265 earned run average. He's 23 years old. That's fouled off the umpire. You look around the organization, and Sean Reed Foley finished up with a 12-5 record in the minor leagues. Jordan Romano was 12-8, pitching at AA for the majority of the season. John Harris 12-6.
That seemed to be the theme with Ross Atkins when we had him on in that inning. Depth. Start building some depth in the minor league system and getting good players, and then, you know, they will compete. And there's no question that your major league team's going to be better if your minor league teams are good.
There's a young lefty that played way down in the minors, pitched at Bluefield this season. He was 4-1. Nicholas Medina. He's just 18 years old. Foul tip held on to by Luke Maley. Nice inning by Thomas Pannone. 3 up, 3 down with a couple of strikeouts. We'll go to the 9th. Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. Blue Jays trying to win this series. They take a 6-1 lead into the 9th inning. They've out-hit the Marlins 8-4 in this ball game, and Teoscar Hernandez with a 3-run home run in the 5th. Broke it wide open.
They are now faced another pitcher. This has been Meyer, former 29th round draft pick by the Marlins in 2015. He spent 3 years down in the minor leagues. started his 4th year in AAA this year before he was recalled at the beginning of June. He's one of those 10 players to make their major league debut this season for the Marlins. Fastball slider, that's what you're going to get from the tall right-hander.
Devin Travis falls behind 0-2. John Gibbons and DeMarlo Hale cleaning up the lineup card, making sure everybody is in the right spot.
Yeah, and they're always aware of where that pitcher spot is. You can see DeMarlo count down. Hey, the pitcher's hitting 6 this inning, so we got to get somebody ready in case we want to pinch hit.
Pull on the ground. Riddle, the shortstop. Fires as that throw was up, and Realmuto came off the base. It'll probably be an air charge to the shortstop. It would be his 6th error of the season. A high throw pulled Realmuto off the base.
Yeah, and credit Devin Travis for busting it down the line, making that a tougher play. That ball just sailed on him. Realmuto tries to keep his foot on the base, but obviously that's off. Been impressed with Riddle.
He's played well. That time he didn't really get his feet working. Didn't drive through that throw and kind of airmailed across the diamond. Leadoff man's aboard here in the 9th. Kenrys Morales, the first baseman, officially 0 for 2.
Came into his own last year for this team. Meyer established career highs in wins and innings pitched and strikeouts. In fact, his strikeouts were 2nd among their organizational pitchers. He was a starter down in the minor leagues. It looks like they're going to have him pitch out of the bullpen in the month of September.
I already mentioned that the Marlins have 6 starters. They're going to go with a 6-man rotation for the time being. 1-2. Now it's 2-2. Ben Meyer is 6'5". Grew up in Minneapolis. Went to the University of Minnesota. Little roller out in front of home. Wallach out in front. Throws out Morales. Travis moves to 2nd on the play. Tim Meza and Tyler Clippard both now throwing. Meza has made some nice strides this season. He's been up and down 7 different times with the Blue Jays, but lately he's had a real good breaking ball to go along with a very good fastball.
That's one way to stop the Buffalo shuffle, isn't it?
Pitch better.
Pitch better. Stay right here. And he's been pitching much better.
Randall Grichuk gets jammed and pulls it foul. Randall had a double in the 3rd inning and came around to score. He also scored after he was hit by a pitch in the 5th inning. Don't forget, we got Dodgers and Diamondbacks coming up after this game. Clay Buchholz for the Diamondbacks, Walker Buehler for the Dodgers. They're tied atop the National League West. There's a drive to left field, hit hard, and that ball is caught by Ortega, running away from the diamond. Another ball hit by the Blue Jays that might have been a home run at Rogers Center.
Yes, there's been about 5 or 6 of them in this 3-game series. Big ballpark. Just the speed of the outfield are going to run this one down. Looked like Randall got enough of it. Drills that ball to left field, but Ortega playing deep hauls it in right in front of the wall in left field.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. takes one in the dirt. The Chicago White Sox, they have made some noise lately. They have a 4-0 lead over the Red Sox in Chicago. Brian Johnson knocked out of the game after an inning in the third. The lefty charged with 4 runs on 7 hits. James Shields has allowed just 2 hits through 3 innings.
How about the Tigers against the Yankees today? Getting them again.
Line to the second baseman. As Gurriel lines out, that ends the inning. Blue Jays leave a base runner. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. Sean Reed Foley in line for his first big league win.
Sportsnet. Presented by Honda at the Model Clearout event. The real victory lap is the drive home.
Blue Jays will be back home at Rogers Center tomorrow night. Start of a 3-game series against Tampa Bay. Marcus Stroman will come off the DL and make the start to open up the series. Pre-game show starts at 6:30 Eastern Time, 3:30 Pacific Time. First of 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays.
And then the Cleveland Indians come to town. 4 games. That should be a lot of fun.
First time this year Cleveland has come to town. JT Realmuto, the first baseman this afternoon. Normally their catcher. He homered in the game last night for his career-high 18th home run. The Marlins are 12-4 when Realmuto homers. He has extended his hit streak to 6 in a row. He is 9 for 22 over those 6 games.
That ties him with Charles Johnson for the team lead for a catcher, whose primary position is catcher player, over there with 18 home runs in a season. He might be their best catcher since Charles Johnson. He was a good player.
Just outside. You heard the home plate umpire Mike Malinsky say it was just outside. Realmuto made his first All-Star team this summer. High fly ball back of second base. Kevin Travis on the edge of the grass makes the catch. Thomas Pannone has retired all 4 batters he's faced in this game. Don't forget, we've got more baseball coming right at you after this ball game. The Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. So stay right here at Sportsnet. You can check out the battle for the lead in the National League West. They are tied with a identical 74 and 62 record. Colorado's only a half game back.
26 to play for both of those teams. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Colorado is playing the Padres a little later. It starts at 4:10, same time as the Diamondbacks and Dodgers. They're in Dodger Stadium for that matchup. Ball on a strike to Starlin Castro. Popped up behind third. It's the shortstop Gurriel. He makes the catch. 2 down. Now the Blue Jays are not away from winning the series. That would give them a 2-4 road trip, and it would get them back on the winning track. They had won on Friday night. That snapped 7 straight road losses. Rafael Ortega, the left fielder. I mentioned Pannone. He really has the ability to throw strikes inside to hitters, whether they're lefty or righty. That's a big asset. He's not a hard thrower, but he can stick that fastball inside. There's a little looper that's going to get down for a base hit in front of Randall Grichuk. A 2-out single.
He's a reliever. Well, he is a reliever now. He has started in the past, but he's a reliever now. That comes in and throws strikes. You see, Justin Smoak has come in to take over from Morales at first base. But anytime you come in out of the bullpen, you've got to pound that strike zone. And he has shown the ability to do that. And he's got a breaking ball, I think, that will play out of the bullpen.
Lewis Brinson takes a first pitch strike. Brinson is the center fielder. He has a single and 3 at-bats so far this afternoon. The Marlins have a run on 5 hits. The Blue Jays have 6 runs on 8 hits. There's a drive to right field. Grichuk is hustling back. This ball is off the top of the fence. Grichuk gets it back in quickly. They stop the runner at third. Down by 5 as Brinson shows us his opposite field power.
Yeah, it's been a tough go for him this year. Says he's encouraged with his improvement in the month of June when he hit .267 with 4 home runs. He improved his on-base percentage up to .300 after it was .230 the first 2 months of the season. Drives this ball to right field. You can see why they're excited about him. Well, Grichuk did a good job of conceding the double right away, trying to save that run by getting it back in quickly.
The catcher, Chad Wallach. He's 0 for 2. Thomas Pannone trying to finish it off for Sean Reed-Foley. Reed-Foley went 7 innings, allowed a run on 4 hits, and struck out 10. Oscar Hernandez with the 3-run home run. Busted the game wide open, made it a 6-0 score at the time. 1-2. Marlins down to their last strike.
Again, now he's got a couple of ways he can go. I think he can elevate a fastball if he wants to, or drop a breaking ball, and if he feels good about his breaking ball.
There's the strikeout, and that's the ball game. Thomas Pannone with 2 solid innings of relief strikes out Wallach to end the ball game, and Sean Reed-Foley picks up his first big league win. Teoscar Hernandez with a big 3-run home run.
Yeah, he got some help from his friends. You mentioned the Teoscar 3-run home run. You can also throw in Luke Manley's name in there. He was on base 4 times. He had a 3-double day for him. But I think the game belongs to Sean Reed Foley, what he did. 7 very good innings, a walk, and 10 punch-outs, 10 strikeouts. He was good from the first pitch to the last.
Sean Reed Foley struck out the side to start the game. He ends up with 10 strikeouts in his first big league win. Thanks for watching, folks. Stay tuned. Here's Blue Jays Central with Carolyn and Joe.